In the heart of a desert, beneath the eternal dance of the sun and stars, there existed a kingdom of unimaginable wealth and power, ruled by King Aziz, a leader as wise as he was brave. His army, a formidable force, was unmatched in battle. Their prowess whispered about in every corner of the world. However, the fate was about to intertwine with the uncanny forces of the unseen. One day, while traversing the endless sands to extend the reach of his realm, King Aziz and his army stumbled upon an ancient ruin, a place where the air buzzed with the electricity of old magic. Unbeknownst to them, this was the domain of a powerful jinn, a being of smokeless fire, bound to the ruin by ancient sorcery, and it had been eons since the jinn had entertained guests. A voice that seemed to come from the very earth beneath their feet, the jinn confronted the trespassers. In its fury, it cast a spell, imprisoning King Aziz and his army in a dimension of shadows, a prison from which there was no escape. The kingdom was left leaderless, its people thrown into despair. News of this catastrophe spread like wildfire, reaching the ears of a beggar named Farid. Farid was no ordinary beggar. His heart held courage that belied his humble status, and his mind was as sharp as the scimitars of the king's finest soldiers. He decided to embark on a quest to free King Aziz and his army, armed with nothing but his wits. Farid traveled to the ruin, calling out to the jinn with respect and humility, intrigued by the audacity of this mortal. The jinn appeared before Farid, its form flickering like a mirage in the desert heat. "I challenge you to a game of riddles," Farid proclaimed, his voice steady. "If I win, you will free the king and his army. If I lose, I will willingly join them in a shadowy prison." Amused and confident in its ancient wisdom, the jinn accepted. The game began under the watchful eyes of the stars. The first riddle was posed by the jinn, a question that twisted and turned in the desert winds. But Farid, his mind sharp and understanding of the world's hidden truths, answered correctly. The jinn, surprised but unshaken, posed another, and then another, each more complex than the last. Yet Farid answered each one, his logic unassailable. Finally, it was Farid's turn to ask a riddle. He spoke. "I am taken from a mine and shut up in a wooden case from which I am never released. And yet I am used by almost every person. What am I?" The jinn, with all his ancient knowledge, was stumped. It pondered and guessed, but could not find the answer. The answer, simple yet profound. A pencil. Defeated, the jinn roared in frustration, a sound that shook the very sands upon which they stood. But a deal was a deal, even for a creature of smokeless fire. With a wave of its hand, the jinn released King Aziz and his army from their shadowy prison. The kingdom rejoiced, its people marveling at the tale of a beggar who had outwitted a jinn. King Aziz, in his gratitude, offered Farid riches beyond imagining. But the beggar asked for only one thing, to be remembered not as a beggar, but as a man who loved his kingdom enough to save it. And so the tale of Farid and the jinn entered the annals of legend, a story whispered in the cool desert nights about a beggar's courage, a king's humility, and the power of a simple riddle.